of relationship. Relationship basically models the interaction between one or more entities. Okay? So, let's see how do we explain this with an example. Let's suppose we have a person and we have a pet. So, the relationship between the person and the pet is that a person owns a pet, right? By owning a pet, this person is interacting with a particular pet. So these type of interactions we abstract into relationships. So our entity relationship model is basically comprising of entities which you've already seen what they are, and the interaction between these entities called as relationship. It is an association between entities. Let's take an example. Let's take this example only. Let's say we have Jimmy, we have Rob, we have Janie, we have Sean. Okay? These are persons. And we have some pets. Okay? Let's say we have a Tom, which is a Persian cat. Say we have Mac, which is a German Shepherd. Say we have a Cece, which is a goldfish. And say we have Bruno, which is a boxer. Boxer is a dog. Okay. So let's keep it like this. These are the persons and these are the pets. So I say Jimmy owns Cece, Cheney owns Tom, and Rob owns Bruno. Okay. So we'll have a relationship between Jimmy and Cece, Jenny and Tom, and Rob and Bruno. Just understand here, Sean doesn't own anything, okay? Doesn't own any pet. And Mac is not owned by anyone. Okay? So just like we had entity set, we have a relationship set. It is the set of all relationships which have a common relationship type. In this case, that relationship type is person owning a pet. So I'll just tell you how do we represent relationships. Relationship is represented by a diamond, like we've done it here. Owns is a relationship and it's represented by a diamond. Next, what we'll see is a relationship instance. Relationship instance is one of the values in the relationship set. Okay? It is like, let's look here. Jimmy owning CC is a relationship instance. Okay, I'll write it down. Jimmy owning CC. That's an instance of the relationship set which says a person owns a pet. When an entity participates in a relationship, it basically means that it is a part of some relationship instance, okay? So, I say that Jimmy participates in the owns relationship, okay? While Sean does not participate in the owns relationship because there is no relationship instance where we have Sean owning some pet. The next terminology that we are going to introduce now is role of the entity. Role of the entity basically decides what type of interaction the entity is having. Okay, so in our example, it is the person owns pet. So the role of person in our case is that of owner. He is interacting as an owner. And the pet is interacting as something that is owned by. Okay, so pet is owned by the owner, and the owner owns a pet. Okay, so every entity has a role. Role is important whenever we have a relationship which is interaction of two more entities of the same entity type. We call such relationships as recursive relationship. Recursive relationship. Okay? Say we have a set like person. Okay? And we have a relationship marries, or rather marriage. Marriage is a relationship, okay? So in this kind of a relationship, two entities are involved. But the point to realize here is both the entities are of same entity type. Okay? So now role comes into play. One person is playing the role of a husband, and the other person is playing the role of a wife, right? So role is important in recursive relationship. It's most important in recursive relationships, I would rather say. Okay. Now we'll take a look at descriptive attributes. Descriptive attributes are the attributes of the relationship. Okay. There may be some attributes which are not actually characterizing the entity, but are characterizing the relationship. Let's revisit our example. Person owns a pet in this case, we can have an attribute which says or determines the date when this pet was brought home. Okay, I would keep it as brought home date. Brought home date is different from the date of birth of this pet. Okay, there could be a pet which was born in a kennel. There could be, like we had Mac, the German Shepherd. If he was born in a kennel, then obviously he was not brought home when on the day he was born. He was brought home probably when he was 2 months old. But this person is more interested in when this pet or Mac was brought home. So this information is represented as an attribute of the relationship set. Okay? So we say where did our example go? Okay, we don't have Mac being owned by anyone. Okay, so I would take this Rob and Bruno example. So we can say that Rob brought home Bruno on 15 December 97. Okay, so this is the information which is represented by a descriptive attribute. It is an attribute of the relationship and not of the entity.